I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the Council, officers and members of the public and press in attendance at this Council meeting on the 15th of December 2025. Welcome to those who may be watching. The meeting live is on YouTube. I am Councillor John Sleep, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. Please switch any mobile devices, including laptops, to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. If the fire alarm rings, please can everyone leave the room immediately and use the nearest signed fire exit. Please go to the fire assembly point located at the bottom of the car park by the garages. We will take apologies. Chief Executive, do you have any apologies to report?
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Adams, Mark Clark, Hartsman, Haywood and Reid. Are there any other apologies?
Councillor David Harrison.
Councillor David Harrison. Any other apologies?
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will take agenda item 1, minutes. Members, there are 3 sets of minutes to approve. These are from the special meetings of the 25th of September, the ordinary meeting of the 13th of October, and the special meeting again of the 3rd of November 2025. Please can I ask members to agree these minutes as correct records? Thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in connection with an agenda item for this meeting? Yes, Councillor Davis.
I have an interest in agenda item 5, so I won't vote or take part.
Thank you. We will take agenda item 3, Chairman's announcements. Members, it is with sadness that I have learned of the passing of the long-standing MP, Sir Patrick McNair Wilson. He was the MP for New Forest from 1968 through till 1997. I know he played a special role for so many here this evening, representing the New Forest constituents with such commitment. On behalf of the Council, I'd like to place on record our appreciation for Sir Patrick's service. Our thoughts are with his family. Engagements. It's been a busy period since I last reported to you on my civic engagements, with the Armed Forces Covenant re-signing ceremony, Remembrance and Armistice commemorations, along with a number of events and openings. On Thursday, the 6th of November, I had the pleasure of attending Minstead Trust Showcase, an award event, which was also well supported by civic heads from across Hampshire. I was honoured to represent the district at the Remembrance Service here in Lyndhurst on Sunday the 9th of November, along with our leader, Councillor Joe Cleary. Our Vice Chairman, Councillor Dave Penny, represented the district at the Totton service. On Monday the 10th of November, I had the pleasure of welcoming the Deputy Lieutenant, Mr Oliver Crosswaite Eyre, to witness the signing of our revised and updated Armed Forces Covenant by myself, the Chief Executive and the Commanding Officer of 17 Port and Maritime Regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Goodall, MBE. Also in attendance were the other senior officers from the regiment, along with some of our veterans. Our new covenant reaffirms our commitment to supporting the Armed Forces community of HQ Solent Station. I'd like to record my special thanks to Anne-Marie Cranton of HQ Solent Station, whose dedicated support has been vital in maintaining our strong link with the military at Marchwood. The Council held the annual Armistice Day commemoration here at Appletree Court on the 11th of November, with myself, Councillor Cleary and 17 Port and Maritime Regiment laying wreaths at the flagpole. Thank you to Councillor John Adams for attending in full regalia to play the bagpipes during the event. On Thursday, the 13th of November, I attended Solent Mind annual celebration event, where Dr. Leslie Stevens from Hampshire and Isle of Wight NHS Foundation gave a speech on the 10-year plan to revolutionise the operations of the NHS and the voluntary community and social enterprises. This was followed by a presentation from the Chief Executive Officer of Solent Mine, Sally Arscott, where volunteers who had received support on their life issues were now helping others. It was a very moving and well-supported event. On Tuesday the 18th of November, I attended the official openings of the new housing developments at White House Way, which was formerly Hythe Hospital, and the following week, on Monday the 24th of November, Compton Road and Old Milton Road, New Milton, formerly the offices of the Advertiser and Times. Both are amazing housing projects the council should be immensely proud of. Other events attended included the Bewley Estate dinner at the invitation of Lord and Lady Montague and the council's Long Service Awards. Councillor Penny represented me at the New Forest Brilliance in Business Awards, along with Councillor Tipp, which I understand were a great success. Finally, both the Vice Chairman and I have attended several Christmas carol services which have put us in the Christmas spirit. And on that note, I wish you all a lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'm not singing. Thank you. Agenda item 4, Leaders' Announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point in proceedings, I usually cover some highlights from the month in my Leaders' Announcements. As we reach the end of 2025, the year that local government reorganisation began, I have found myself looking back on some of the updates I have given this year and the excellent work we and our staff have provided for our residents. This has included our largest operational change with the new waste and recycling service, new housing developments, the launch of the community lottery, ongoing coastal maintenance, the championing of local businesses and youth skills, awarding essential grants to community organisations, planting hundreds of trees, and continuing our regulatory and enforcement activity that keeps residents safe and protects the forest environment. And that is just a small snapshot. I'm also pleased that the Corporate Peer Challenge Revisit, 1 year on, found that we have made good progress with the improvements identified in our corporate plan. The team also noted our committed staff and the positive way that they are delivering for our communities. Everything I have spoken about this year is down to the dedication and resilience of our staff, frontline, service base, and the staff in our corporate services teams who provide vital but often unseen work. I know they will carry that into 2026 and beyond, and I thank them for their commitment they bring every day to help improve the district for residents. And finally, a special Christmas news story. This week, the Freedom Leisure team will also be distributing Christmas presents kindly donated by centre users. This year, the presents will be distributed throughout the New Forest to the Handy Trust, St Barb Holidays and Activities Food Programme, New Milton Youth Trust, Fair Share Food Bank and Youth and Family Matters. If last year's efforts are anything to go by, this fantastic initiative will ensure a significant number of children receive presents who otherwise may not have done so. My sincere thanks go to Freedom Leisure and to Councillor Dan Paul for once again leading and supporting this amazing initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. We'll now go to agenda item 5, Taxi Licensing Policy, Amendments to Appendix B. Councillor Tungat, as Chairman of the General Purposes and Licensing Committee, please can I ask you to introduce this item and the recommendation to approve the updated Appendix B of the Taxi Licensing Policy.
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to move this. It was minor amendments, really, in line with Institute of Licensing advice, and it was put out to consultation. No comments were received, and therefore we brought it straight to full council.
Thank you. Councillor Young, will you second?
Delighted to do so, Chair.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? None. Okay. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation to approve the updated Appendix B of the taxi licensing policy. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. As you've said, it's an updated Appendix B of the taxi licensing policy, with that vote being sent to members. The options being for, against, the alternative to abstain. Okay, Chairman, that result will surely be... Okay. Just sending it to you now. Okay.
Thank you. Members, dealing first with part 1, I'll call each item to see if any member wishes to speak on those matters resolved by Cabinet. Item 1, Appletree Property Group, AGM 2025. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Item 2, Appointments to outside bodies. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Members, moving now to part 2, I'll call the relevant Cabinet members in turn to move the recommendations for Council. Item 3, Financial Monitoring Report, based on performance April to September 2025 inclusive. This report has recommendations for Cabinet and also one recommendation for Council. Before debating the Council recommendations, does any member wish to speak on the Cabinet resolutions, to note the latest budget forecasts, approve the list of roles to support LGR activity, to approve the budget requirements within the HRA, and to approve the net changes to the capital programme totalling 154,000. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. I note that, that the report identifies the shortfall in projected income for car parking. It is in this item, I believe. And it also says that because we're raising the price, that variance between what we expected is only going to be 29,000. But it's still going to be less than we projected. Do we ever consider that every time we raise the price, less people pay, and therefore we don't get the money we need? Perhaps if we didn't raise car parking charges every year, then we might meet the target and people will pay them.
Are there any more speakers? Councillor Hare, would you like to respond?
Chairman, Councillor Wade's quite right. We haven't met the target that we'd hoped for, but the increase in our revenue and in the fee did result in an increase in income over the previous year. It's perhaps a sign of the times, or perhaps a sign of the economy, that less people are purchasing long-stay clocks and the likes of our shopper clocks remain incredulously good value for money and very popular. And the revenue to this council still remains higher, as I say, than previous years.
Thank you. Councillor Heron, will you now introduce this item and the recommendation that 1.5 million is transferred from the Budget Equalisation Reserve to the Local Government Reorganisation Reserve?
Thank you very much, Chairman. The report provides the latest budget forecast for the General Fund Housing Revenue Account and the capital programme for 25-26, based on the first half of the year and performance from April 25 to September 25. I'm very happy to put it forward and support the recommendation therein. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davies, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? No, thank you. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation on page 105 of your agenda pack. I'll ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending that vote to members for clarity. It's the recommendation in the report around the transfer of the 1.5 million from the Budget Equalisation Reserve to the LGR Reserve. And that's now with you, with 4 against, or the alternative being to abstain. I've just closed the vote now, Chairman. The results are with you there.
Thank you. For 37, against 2, abstention 1. Thank you. Carried. We will now go to agenda item 7, Report of Cabinet, 3rd of December 2025. Members, dealing with the part 1 first, I will call each item to see if any member wishes to speak on those matters resolved by Cabinet. Item 1, Medium-Term Financial Plan, General Fund Update. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to repeat something I think I raised in the Cabinet meeting. Every year, revenue supports capital to the tone of £1 million, basically. Now, the report identifies that while the things are not as bad as they could be, there still could be a probable negative variance. Now, clearly, as we are in the twilight period for this council, it makes perfect sense to not transfer the money from revenue to capital and instead use it to reduce this potential negative variance. Because the report identifies an extra 400,000 we're going to get in interest rates. Well, looking at the financial situation as it is, considering last year we got an extra 1.3 million in interest rates above what would be budgeted, I suspect that 400,000 that it projects in the report is very modest. And if you take the extra interest rates we're getting, plus not transferring that money in from revenue to capital, which is questionable in the first place, we won't be in a negative variance. So I make this point that the future financially could be a lot better than it could be if we take the right measures. It is our duty to leave this council, when it ends, its finances in a quite right and a proper manner. That is important. But we need to look at perhaps doing things differently for the last few years of our existence, because we haven't got a medium-term financial plan. Perhaps it's 4 or 5 years, I suppose. I'm sure Councillor Helm will correct me if I'm wrong with that statement. But we haven't got 4 or 5 years. We have 1 more year of total control and another year where we were restricted what we can do. And we really need to look at perhaps changing how we do things. It makes perfect sense to look at this through a new lens for the benefit of our residents. And that's the point I want to make, Chairman. We do need to look at doing things differently from a financial management perspective, while still retaining a right and appropriate balanced budget.
Thank you. Councillor Hearn, would you wish to respond?
Yes, Chairman. Once again, the opposition show a remarkable ability for short-termism rather than long-term financial planning. I would just point to them to the mayoral elections, which were clearly going to go ahead and now up to 28, to know that central government is whimsical in its outlook on what it does to local government. And so I would strongly recommend that we say with a sound financial management, and that we look to see whether that can, at a later date, be stressed. And so I don't see any reason why, at this point in time, we will change course. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take item 2, Medium-Term Financial Plan, Hazing Revenue Account Update. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Item 3, Allocation of Community Infrastructure Levy, SIL, to local infrastructures projects. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
It's just a question, really, whimsical or otherwise, with the government's local government plans. And it says on point 4, approve the opening of the local infrastructure bid windows for the 2027-28 financial year for 2 months during spring 26. I just wanted to clarify, does that mean that there is a chance that the decision for who is allocated those bids would fall in the future council, of which we'll be part of, or would that still remain within the NFDC council window for us to make the decision?
Thank you. Councillor Heron, do you wish to respond? Oh, forgive me, it's Councillor Tipp. Councillor Tipp. Sorry, Derek.
Well, I can only say that we're doing our best to dispense with the community infrastructure levy. Obviously, we spend as wisely as we can. If there is any of it left, then no doubt it will pass to the new unitary authority. And that's the way it is. Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you. On that note, will there be a period of time for which there will be consultation with the officers to work out greater details? Because obviously a 2-month window for some who are giving advance notice, that might be okay. For others who perhaps are coming into it late, they won't be. So can I just make sure that there will be a period of consultation between this council and applicants for that?
I'm sure officers have noted your point.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The community SIL money is for developments within our district. It will be criminal if this money passes to a unitary to be spent somewhere else. So I think we have a duty for New Forest residents to ensure it is spent wisely on projects for the benefit of New Forest residents before we go into another unitary.
And that is exactly our intention, Chairman.
Thank you. We will go on to item 4, half-yearly update, complaints performance and service improvement report. Have we got any speakers? Oh, Councillor Wade.
Just to reiterate the point we made in Resources and Transformation, in that this report, considering phase 3 will fall onto the next year, it's reporting of this, that we have to take into account that the figures might be slightly skewed, to be fair, because obviously it's a new service. So obviously we've seen a clearly significant rise in where phase 1 and phase 2 of the waste collection process. So it's very important that continually that we emphasise we take out the waste collection process, highlight the numbers there, but account for that in the reporting, because obviously as it's an annual report and it's like a couple of planning issues can raise the numbers quite highly. We keep an idea on the separate of the waste collection going into the next financial year, but not get too worked up on the numbers being risen, because there's clearly a reason, at least in the next years, for that. And that was the point we discussed in Resources and Transformation. Not to take away any criticism towards the waste process, but it clearly sort of distracts from the report in the fact that the numbers were so high this time of phase 1, and it probably will be for phase 3 going into next year.
Thank you. Councillor Jack Davis.
My colleague Councillor Wade and I both were on the Resources and Transformation Committee, and at that committee I did say that I thought progress had been made. I went back after the meeting and I had 2 people come to me about 6-month waits for additional capacity. So perhaps I was a little bit quick in my praise. But again, went to officers and it got sorted out relatively quickly. So clearly in phase 1 it is starting to come down. It shouldn't have taken this long, but it is starting to come down. I just want us to reiterate that phase 2 and phase 3 need to make sure that they're not in the same situation. But thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Herring, would you wish to respond?
Chairman, Councillor Wade was quite right. We do have to be careful when looking at these figures. They are very important. They do give us a clear indication of some of the issues that are arising, but we also have to be very cognitive of the fact that a single issue can slew that when there are a lot of people coming in on one point alone. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take that seriously and accept it, but it does tend to slew the figures. other Councillor Wade there is enjoying himself and smiling away. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, moving now to part 2, I will call the relevant Cabinet members in turn to move the recommendations for Council. Item 5, Council Tax 2026-2027. Councillor Heron, will you now introduce this item and the 2 recommendations relating to the calculation of the tax base for 2026-27?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm happy to introduce the proposal for the calculation of the tax base for the 26-27 at 74,305.8 Land D or equivalent houses. I still, to this day, nearly 30 years on this council, have no idea how the officers managed to calculate this, but they seem to do a particularly brilliant job, and I'm very grateful to them for doing it.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Davis.
Just very briefly to say that I think the only thing interesting about this in terms of, rather than just for those of us who set town and parish council tax, is also actually it probably shows us how many second homes we have in our various parts of the community, which has probably skewed, which has definitely skewed the figures. I don't think we're building that many homes. So I think that it's very interesting to see that, and yeah, thank you very much to the officers for calculating it.
Thank you. Councillor Heron, do you wish to respond?
Just to say that Councillor Davies is quite right. The previous year we were taking an estimate on those second home properties within the district, and this year for the first time we are working on fact and figures, which has made us a significant part of the difference to this year's calculation.
Thank you. Members, we will now go to the vote on the 2 recommendations for Council relating to the calculation of the Council tax base for 2026-27. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending the vote to members. That's around setting the tax base for 26-7. The options being for, against, alternative to abstain. Councillor Crizel, sorry, can I just check? Thank you. Okay, Chairman, that results with you now.
Thank you, everybody. The vote is 39-4, against none, abstention 1. Thank you, it's carried. We would now go to item 6, Council Tax Support Scheme. Council Tax Premiums S13A Policy, Discretionary Housing Payments Policy and Crisis Resilience Fund. Councillor Heron, will you now introduce this item and the 4 recommendations relating the Council Tax Reduction Scheme, Council Tax Premiums, as well as the S13A and Discretionary Housing Payment Policies, please?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Happy to propose the recommendations as set out on the paper. As you will see from the paper, there has been no real change or significant change from last year, but we are required to bring this back to the Council every year.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Dowd.
Thank you, Chair. I asked a question a while ago about the small number of people who were affected by the last changes, and to check that there was some oversight of that to see how it was working in practice. I got quite a detailed answer, but not actually an answer to that specific question. So I would be pleased to know that there is some oversight of those few people who are disproportionately affected by the decisions that were made then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor Harold, do you wish to respond?
Only as I've obviously not quite followed what Councillor is looking for, and I'm happy to meet with him outside the meeting and make sure that we get the detailed answer to him that he requires.
Thank you very much. Weren't any other speakers, were there? We will now go to the vote on the 4 recommendations set out on page 132 of your document pack. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending that vote to members around the Council Tax Support Scheme, premiums and the policies on the agenda. That's with you now. Okay, Chairman, just with you now.
Thank you. The vote is 39 for, against 1, abstentions 0. It's carried. Thank you. We will now go on to item 7, Lymington and Pennington Neighbourhood Development Plan. Examiner's Report. Councillor Tipp, will you now introduce this item and the 3 recommendations relating to the Lymington and Pennington Neighbourhood Development Plan, the Examiner's Report modifications and the plan proceed to referendum?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Delighted to do that. I think it's an excellent scheme, and as I said, 9 years in the making, so congratulations to Lymington Town Council.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Absolutely delighted to, Chairman.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I would like to declare an interest on that topic, as I do apologise. I should have declared that at the beginning because I'm under the committee, so I do apologise.
Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Davis.
Yeah, sorry, can I just clarify? Because we've got 4 of us here that are district councillors also on Lymington Pennington Town Council. Do we need, we're obviously declaring interest, are we allowed to speak and vote on that?
Matt, would you wish to respond to that?
So members of Lymington and Pennington Town Council have a standing dispensation, as any other member of the council does, to take part and speak and vote on an issue affecting the council in recognition of the receipt of an allowance, but that doesn't extend to any matter of bias or predetermination in common law terms. So if a member on the council wishes to say that they're not going to speak and vote, they can do that, but they're not required to make that interest. It's noted.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just say thank you very much, Councillor Tipp, for your words. It has been a long time coming. It's been a lot of work that has gone into it, and I'm hopeful that when it goes to referendum and gets passed, it will be in a better future for Lymington and Pennington. So, yeah, thank you. I hope you will support it.
Thank you. Councillor Dunning.
Yes, I'd just like to say that, as Councillor Davis said, it's been a long process. I started it in 2015 and worked on it for 2 or 3 years. And then the COVID came along, and after that, of course, Councillor Davis then took over, and I think we have come up with a good scheme, so hopefully everyone will vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tipp, would you wish to respond?
No, I think I've said all I want to. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Members, we'll now go to the vote on the 3 recommendations set out on page 134 of your agenda pack. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Sending the vote now to members in respect of the Lymington and Pennington Neighbourhood Development Plan. Chairman, just sending that to you.
Thank you. 44 against 0, abstention 0. Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much. We now go to item 8, Waste Service Budgetary Position. This report has recommendations for Cabinet and also recommendations for Council. Before debating the Council recommendations, does any member wish to speak on the Cabinet resolutions which are set out on page 135 of your agenda pack. Thank you. Councillor Blunden, will you now introduce this item and the 3 recommendations for Council? These are set out on page 135 of their agenda packs. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This report sets out the current position on the rollout of the Council's new waste collection services and the steps needed to maintain its success. The service is delivering clear environmental benefits, including improved recycling rates and reduced litter, and it is essential that we continue to meet our statutory obligations under the Environmental Act of 2021. As a point of clarification, we have now had an updated confirmation of bin manufacturing schedules and can confirm the start date for delivery of bins to households will be March, and the Phase 3 start for collection for residents will be early May. This will see the whole district on a new modernised service which will increase recycling rate, mean cleaner streets and be better for our hard-working crews. The report addresses the operational challenges in the areas of district where free-roaming livestock are present. It recommends making permanent behind-the-gate collection of food waste caddies in these areas, which has proven effective in reducing animal interactions and safeguarding the reputation of the service. It also seeks the approval for additional funding to maintain the service continuity and bring site provision. Importantly, the recommendations include a commitment to a full review after Phase 3 of the rollout is completed, and that is set out in paragraphs 30 and 31. This review will also allow us to consider wider approaches to collections in these areas in the future, including our bring sites, which will be informed by data, financial modelling and operational experience. The recommendations, whilst clearly are financially significant, these will ensure that the service remains resilient, environmentally responsible and legally compliant, while leaving a scope for further consideration of longer-term options once the service is bedded in. Chairman, I'm pleased to present the report and move the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Dowd.
Thank you, Chair. The point I'll make is about the reduction. I mean, we're talking about recycling, which is laudable, but we need reduction as well, and that needs education. So when the process is reviewed, I do hope that there is oversight on how well education is going to make sure that we are reducing waste, not just recycling. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Chair. To the portfolio holder, I'd like to first of all thank you for the report and thank you for the update. Just one quick question, really, if that's possible. It's in relation to the amount of complaints that we had at the very beginning in Phase 1. I do understand that Phase 2 has calmed itself out. Thank God. It's nice to hear. But could you just inform me, from the public's point of view, where we are today with those complaints? Have we managed to catch up with those complaints, or is there still a few complaints that are still to be dealt with?
Yes. Councillor Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of the item for discussion, obviously it is a significant sum, and it does slightly stick in the craw, and this is an attack on the district council. It slightly sticks in the craw because obviously this was a government diktat back in 2021, and at the time we were told we were going to get a load of new money to pay for it, and clearly that hasn't worked out. Like many of Boris Johnson's promises, it just didn't stack up, and sadly we've been left to pay for it, and clearly it's a significant burden. In terms of the review that's been requested, or is going to be requested if we agree to it, again, in terms of the length, I'm worried that it's after Phase 3, a few months for a review could be quite a significant amount of time. We could be looking at a couple of years before anything's done. I just want to confirm that for those areas, especially in Brockenhurst, I think that's a clear example, but also in other parts of the forest which have had significant issues with the collections and free roaming livestock, that there won't be a delay of a couple of years. This will be something that will be dealt with in the next financial year.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. A couple of points, really, just to amplify what Councillor McDowell said. In the hierarchy of waste reduction is the most important aspect. And we did discuss this way back in 2019 in the waste panel, but it seemed to have disappeared. If you don't have as much waste to collect, it's cheaper, so it's cost effective. But it is critical that we focus on waste reduction across the district. The other point is, and this report is now putting more resources and finance to phase 3 rollout. And representing the part of the phase 3 area, I'm very pleased to hear that hopefully the residents in the Waterside and the rest of phase 3 will not fall foul to many of the problems that have existed in phases 1 and to a lesser degree in phase 2. You know, we've learnt from the disasters of the past. Let's make sure that the next stage is more successful.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Alex Wade.
It's just related to point 25 with regards to once the phase 3 rollout has been completed, the ongoing provision of bring site services would be subject to review. I do appreciate other areas don't necessarily have as many as we do, and they can build up, as we've seen over phase 1, huge amounts of items that were reported in the local area in New Road in my ward. But as I've reported fly tipping just yesterday next to one of our local schools, huge amounts of soil that was dumped, 20, 30 big black bags. Fly tipping remains an ongoing challenge for this council. And when we review those bring sites, we have to account if there's a reduction in what could be the impact on further fly tipping. We know the challenge we have with enforcement, the cost to the council, and the impact on where we live. And, you know, where I reported was relatively accessible off a main road, but there are lots of rural areas, and unfortunately, people who think it's appropriate and fair to go and dump items down all sorts of areas of beauty. So my area of concern when that's reviewed is, you know, these bring sites have an element of importance, and there could be a risk of even further fly tipping and cost to our team, which is a concern.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Chairman. I sometimes get the impression that it's very easy to be despondent and negative about the rollout of the waste collection programme which has been initiated. It does seem to vary from one area to another. Some areas, it seems to be a matter of it's all doom and gloom. Nothing has been done right, everything has been done wrong, and that's the way it comes over. I can only report from my area, which is phase 2, that the reaction that I've got in the main has been an absolutely positive one. Yes, indeed, there have been one or two folk who have been rather unhappy about it, and that will always be the case. But when I look at the number of residents, and I've been in touch with well over 200, the vast majority of them, by a very, very long margin, are satisfied with the rollout of the programme. They recognise there's going to be teething problems, and so from that point of view, they are positive the way in which the District Council has managed, as far as they're concerned, the rollout of this programme. I only wish some of my colleagues were a little bit more positive and less negative.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham, your turn.
Thank you. So we're being asked to approve a supplementary budget of 301,000 to support the continued bring site service. And I wondered if we could have some more detail on what exactly that's going to be spent on. Will it include trying to reduce the waste that is produced at all, perhaps through education, etc., at the Bring sites? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Councillor England.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a point of interest for Councillor Theory. I'm very pleased that in your area of Section 2 that you didn't have the travesty that we suffered in Lymington. Just for an update, one of the glass collections in one of the roads in Lymington had never been picked up since June, since its inception. So it only got taken away last week. But I will thank the officers who came to the rescue of a lot of areas that weren't even identified by Keep Britain Tidy. So I hope everyone has learnt the lesson from that. Nobody wants to be negative, but unfortunately the residents did really suffer, but it seems to be coming right at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Blunden, would you wish to respond?
Chairman, I'll try to remember all of those. There's quite a lengthy list there, but trying to pick up on the main thrust of it. I would entirely agree on the need for education as we go forward. That is essential, and as I've said on previous meetings, we will be reaching out particularly to schools and community groups to reinforce the matter of education as we go through. Regarding complaints, which I picked up as well, I can assure you all complaints have been answered and any remedial action followed up for complaints. On the review, it certainly is my intention that the review after phase 3 would be swift, and any action that is required after that review will be implemented. I was going to say quickly, but it does need to be implemented quickly. And that definitely, as I've said, also, we know the lessons that have been learned in phase 1, and if you look into phase 2, that clearly phase 2 has actually, the rollout there has worked a lot better, and I'm confident as we go into phase 3 that will continue. On the Bring site issues, certainly they are at the moment being used quite a lot. I don't think the Bring sites actually, the data that I've got at the moment on fly tipping, it's a different type of material which is fly tipped than is actually being deposited in our Bring sites. We do have an issue with our Bring sites where we know that those Bring sites are being abused slightly, particularly with business users. I think that covers most of it. On the data on Bring sites, you asked for some information on that, and I will come back to you on that.
Thank you. Members, we will now go to the vote on the 3 recommendations which seek approval that an additional 1.5 million be added to the medium-term financial plan for 26-27, approval that an additional 967,000 will be added to the capital programme for 26-27, and that a supplementary budget of 301,000 be approved for 25-26 to support the Bring site service. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. As the Chairman said, 3 financial recommendations there being sent to you for the vote. The options being for, against, the alternative abstain. Okay, that's with you now, Chairman.
Thank you. The vote recorded is 39 for, 1 against, no abstentions. Thank you, it's carried. We will now go to agenda item 8, questions. Members, there are 10 questions. A reminder, we have a total of 30 minutes for this item. Any member asking a question who is not in attendance will have their question dealt with in writing, as will any question falling outside of the 30 minutes. Each question shall be put and answered without discussion. Each reply should be no longer than 3 minutes. I will invite each member who has asked a question, if they have one supplementary question arising from the answer, which should be dealt with in a maximum of 2 minutes. Referring to first question 1 from Councillor Barry Dunning to the portfolio holder for Planning and Economy, Councillor Derek Tipp.
Thank you, Chairman. Can the portfolio holder for Planning and Economy please update the Council on the current position of the ongoing legal dispute between this Council and Redrow/Barrett over the development at Lymington Shores in Lymington? And will the footbridge be built or not?
Councillor Tipp.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Dunning. The Council understands that Redrow and Hampshire County Council are working on resolving matters that are needed to allow for delivery. From the District Council's perspective, there is a restriction on the sale and occupation of the remaining residential units on the site. This restriction is being complied with, and therefore, and as previously advised, there is no breach of planning control. I have asked our officers to make inquiries with Redrow. However, with your own county councillor hat on, perhaps directing inquiries into the county council to seek their perspective on what is holding up delivery would be something that you yourself could consider.
Thank you. We'll go to question 2. Oh, sorry. Yeah, are there any supplementaries?
Yes.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank
you, Councillor Tipp, for that. This has been going on for about 9 or 10 years now, and would you agree with me that it is about time it was settled, and that should it be settled, if there was a monetary settlement, that the monies should be going to Lymington and not be just put into the pot to end up disappearing into the ethereal hemisphere of a unitary authority? Thank you.
Yes, I should agree that it is time it was settled, but it's not for us to comment on it at this stage. I would need to look into it, and hopefully if there is any financial benefit, then I don't see why it shouldn't go to Lymington.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to question 2 from Councillor Richard Young to the portfolio holder for Community, Safety and Wellbeing, Councillor Dan Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could the portfolio holder for Community, Safety and Wellbeing please update Council on the progress of the CCTV programme?
Thank you. Councillor Paul.
In line with the Council's commitment to invest in and enhance the CCTV network across the district, an additional 56 digital cameras have been installed over the past 12 months, with a further 4 due for completion shortly. Our ongoing commitment to reduce the fear of crime within our communities has been supported by town and parish councils, alongside ongoing partnerships with the retail sector. Where appropriate, these positive partnerships have enabled cameras to be mounted on the exterior of retail premises, improving operational coverage while reducing installation costs. To strengthen system resilience and prepare for the future digital upgrades, we will replace the analogue line currently used to transmit images to the control room. Throughout 2026, the remaining analogue cameras will be converted to digital transmission, creating opportunities to expand coverage and deliver long-term cost savings for the service.
Thank you. Councillor Young, do you have a supplementary?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Then we will go to question 3 from Councillor David Miller to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
Thank you, Chair. The Phase 2 rollout of the new waste services thankfully avoided the significant issues we saw in Phase 1. However, many residents are frustrated by the lack of information and delays around both smaller and larger bin requests. Smaller bins matter for manoeuvrability and where there is limited storage space, while some larger households were promised bigger bins but are still waiting for them. They're relying on extra sacks in the meantime, which are often missed by the collecting teams who are focused on wheelie bins. Can you confirm how many requests for small bins and large bins were made in phases 1 and 2? How many of these requests have been satisfied? When the outstanding requests will be met, and how long the longest wait has been, and what caused the delays?
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Bundon.
Thank you. Yes, across phases 1 and 2, 1,114 requests for extra capacity bins have so far been made, and 89% of these requests have been fulfilled. These requests have been prioritised over requests for smaller bins, as the rationale for the requests often relates to medical needs, children in nappies and larger families. The 100 or so still awaiting larger bins will receive their extra capacity before Christmas, and in the meantime, crews are instructed to collect extra bags. If you are aware of any specific locations where this is not happening, please do let me know and we will investigate that further. Smaller bins have a marginally smaller footprint when compared with the standard bins, and we are awaiting a restock of recycling containers from the supplier and will resume those deliveries once we have these. We've had a number of residents contacting us actually to cancel their smaller bins or larger bin requests, as they prefer the containers that they were issued to originally on the rollout. So residents with the outstanding requests for a smaller bin have been contacted to confirm whether the bin is still required. And at the time of writing, there are 296 residents which are awaiting for smaller bins. Whilst we wait for the new supplies, we can continue to collect their waste every week from their existing containers.
Thank you. Councillor Miller, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, thank you. I will ask one. I spent most of last week walking pleasantly around God's Hill. I noticed and spent some time picking up wheelie bins that have been blown over in the gales, and actually spoke to several residents who were quite concerned that the wheelie bins, once emptied, were had a tendency to be blown over by wind before they were put back inside the house. People are away at work during the day. Has this been reported to you elsewhere? And do you have any recommendations, or could you provide any recommendations for how people could secure their bins against gale conditions on days when they're not around to put them behind safely?
Councillor Bundon?
Yeah, thank you for that. I can't quite see that as a supplementary to the original question.
Well, it's bins.
Tenuous then.
However, I've actually I haven't been made aware of that's a problem, but I can understand that it could be, and I'll ask officers whether they have any advice that can be given.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move to question 4 from Councillor Colin McCarthy to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
Thank you, Chair. You're quite busy today, Councillor Blunden. Right, given that members and officers had previously been warned about the likelihood of animal interference with food caddies, why did the Council underestimate both the operational implications and cost of switching behind the gate collections, resulting in a 1.5 million annual pressure and additional vehicle requirements?
Thank you, Councillor Blunden.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. As detailed in the report which we've discussed tonight at our full council, the additional resource requirement amounting to 1.5 million is not solely down to the issue of behind the gate collections. In fact, the full explanation is included in the report, and I really don't propose to go over it again. However, I would reiterate the complexities and significance of the service changes being introduced, which is transforming our services for the benefit of our residents, staff, and particularly the environment. Q2 of this year saw us reach our highest ever recycling rate of 43%, and that has been achieved with only 38% of the households using the new service. Food waste tonnages have been higher than most other council areas, showing what a great success that service has been. And I don't shy away from the need to invest in our services to ensure that continued progress is maintained in that area.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy, do you have a supplementary?
No, thank you, Chair.
Moving to question 5. Yes, thank you. Question 5 from Councillor Mark Clark. Because he's not in attendance, his question will be answered in writing. We'll go to question 6 from Councillor Caroline Rackham to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
Thank you, Councillor Blunden. There's been a rise in visits to the recycling centres and other bring sites with the rollout of the limited size wheelie bins. Can I ask what modelling was used to predict this behaviour change and why it wasn't budgeted for before the rollout? Thank you.
Councillor Blunden.
Thank you. The council now provides more capacity for containing recycling on a weekly basis than it used to before with the old SAC system. In addition, we offer larger recycling bins for those who need them and will collect small bundles of cardboard when left tidily next to the bin. Larger amounts of cardboard must be taken to the local household recycling centres, such as those located in Marchwood, Efford and Summerley. Here there are specialised containers that can adequately deal with particularly large quantities of cardboard and bigger sizes of cardboard. Our bring sites are for small quantities of excess recycling from households. Any businesses using these sites are doing so illegally, and our enforcement teams are working hard to tackle this misuse of sites and are visiting them quite regularly, and we also have the new CCTV in place. However, I do accept that there's been an issue with bring sites that has been larger than we may have expected. But overall, the financial prudence of this authority means that where there are unexpected consequences, we are well placed to react quickly and flexibly to prioritise our actions and maintain our services.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham, supplementary?
Yes, thank you. So if you have more capacity than before now, why has there been a rise in the visits to the recycling centres? It doesn't make any sense really. And plus, can I ask again what the modelling was that was used to predict this might happen? Or was there no modelling? I'm just looking for an answer really. Thank you.
Councillor Blunden?
Yeah, I think I've actually covered the last part of your question, but concerning the quantity of actually cardboard, which you're referring to, large items, I do believe the evidence is there on our bring sites that in fact they are being used by business users, which probably was taken away previously with the normal domestic collections.
Apologies, Councillor Bundle, you must be suffering from bin fatigue. If I can ask, how many assisted collections were requested in phase 1 and 2, and did the numbers increase during the rollout? How many have been requested for phase 3? And from your experience of phases 1 and 2, how confident are you that you will be able to satisfy the demand?
Thank you for that question. Our data on this does not split between new requests and annual requests for assisted collections. However, I can say that in May 2025, we had a total of 830 assisted collection users, and as of December, we have 1,613. Of the requests received for this period, which as stated above includes new requests and renewals, 44% were from Phase 1 addresses, 21% from Phase 2 addresses, and 35% from Phase 3 addresses. As of the 21st of October this year, the Council introduced further checks on assisted collection requests coming in. That was to ensure that our resources can be focused on helping those residents in genuine need of this important service. We are confident that we can accommodate the support required for our residents that are generally need assistance in those collections.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Curran. Do you have a supplementary?
Of course. If I could ask Councillor Blundell, what percentage of requests were denied, and do we know the reason for the denial?
I don't have that data to hand, but I'm happy to come back to you to it.
Thank you.
Question 8 from Councillor Malcolm Wade to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Gio Cleary.
A rest for Councillor Bundon. In the spirit of devolution and understanding it will take a level of resourcing, transferring assets to the people of the New Forest District will be a positive lasting statement of this authority's legacy. Therefore, will the administration support this council devolving assets to town and parish councils across the district where they have requested it to do so, where it is practical and sustainable to do so?
Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Wade, for your question. I am supportive of the recent letter that has been sent by officers to town and parish clerks, setting out very clearly the next steps in our process towards delivering on our strategic asset management plan. This includes the ability for town and parish councils to advise the district of assets they would like us to consider for transfer. Councillor Wade will, however, be very aware of the significant task ahead of us as councillors and our officers in supporting the establishment of a new authority in just over 2 years' time. I think it's important, therefore, that we continue to manage expectations and confirm that a large number of asset transfers to town and parish councils will not be feasible. In terms of delivering on our strategic asset management action plan, our base, making improvements where possible and building a comprehensive asset list to include information on where town and parishes have expressed a will to take on any assets for future consideration by the new unitary authority.
Thank you. Councillor Wade, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you for that response. Where it is practical and sustainable to do so, do you not think that leaving a positive legacy to the town and parish councils is something this authority should be proud of in transferring assets where they've requested it? They can manage it on behalf of New Forest people going forward.
Leader.
I do support this in theory. However, I do have problems with making it happen, but I promise to look further into it. I'll consult with Councillor Heron, obviously, and Officer Alan Bethune, and see if we can leave a legacy. I am determined to leave a positive legacy to the residents of New Forest, but sometimes it might take a little more detail than I've got.
Thank you. Councillor Blunden, have you had a drink? We'll now go to question 9 from Councillor Jack Davis to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
I would like to thank Councillor Blunden for just being here for this evening. More than 60% of the questions to portfolio holders have gone to Councillor Blunden or are going to Councillor Blunden, so fair play. He deserves something stronger after this, I'm sure. But in terms of the questions, so it was good to hear Councillor Heron state at the most recent Resources and Transformation Scrutiny Panel that the New Street public conveniences in Leamington will be upgraded. Does the portfolio holder have a timescale for when these upgrades will be completed?
Councillor Blunden.
Councillor Davis, I welcome the question as despite seeing you taking credit for the New Street block being identified as a priority for renovation, it gives me an opportunity to confirm that I have had oversight of the evidence-led condition surveys process, which has resulted in the New Street toilet being identified as a strong candidate for upgrading. Officers are in the process of devising the detailed programme, which I understand will be included in the capital programme for the Council's consideration and approval in February. I will welcome Councillor Davis' endorsement of this administration budget when it comes to Chamber in February to ensure that these improvements can be achieved within the next 2 financial years.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Supplementary?
Of course. Can I request that it is a proper upgrade and not just a case of a lick of paint? Because that's my concern with the upgrades. It needs to be modernised fully rather than just made to look a little less dilapidated. So I'm hoping that when it does come to February, it's going to be a full refurb that the people of Leamington and Pennington could be very proud of.
Thank you, Councillor Blunden.
I certainly note your comments.
Thank you. Well done. We're going to question 10. From Councillor Alex Wade to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
After your toilet break, it's back to bins. Ahead of phase 3 of the introduction of wheelie bins next year, what review of communication to residents is being considered to mitigate ongoing concerns such as missed daily collections and the general consensus of Waterside residents disappointed by the whole bin bag delivery process? Will ward councillors be included in steering groups and be utilised to assist in updating residents when required, supporting our hard-working operational teams? Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Councillor Blunden.
Thank you. We understand that miscollections are currently at a level typically operationally for this scale, and none of the data I am seeing in my role as Cabinet member is suggesting a live issue. But I'm happy that if Councillor Wade wishes to share any concerns he has with me directly and any specific detail. In terms of communications, residents will again receive 3 separate direct communications to their households ahead of phase 3 go live date, and the feedback that we've had and the evidence to date is that both that has been clear and effective in the first 2 phases. We acknowledge that our Liberal Democrat colleagues have been very vocal in stoking the fear of missed free bin bags in the Waterside, but we have prioritised our legal responsibility of actually collecting the waste. I understand that can be an issue, but of course bin bags can be collected via our office sites. The good news is that this task on bin bags is complete, and most of the residents will be able to replace their council-provided bin bags with a council-provided wheelie bin instead once phase 3 is up and running. We will continue to keep councillors updated through regular emails and particularly the planned briefing sessions. I'm conscious Councillor Wade and a number of other colleagues were not able to attend the most recent briefing for members by waste officers on Thursday the 27th of November. I can of course also remind you that there are regular opportunities to engage on a whole host of relevant information already available to him as the phase 3 member on the members' website.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. A supplementary.
I do indeed. And Merry Christmas. This is your last question on bins for this evening. Well, I'm not allowed a third, so...
Excuse me, is that a supplementary?
Does the ward member, does the portfolio holder think that ward members should be considered as part of the steering group for Phase 3?
Councillor Blunden.
I think this question has been asked a number of times, but what I would like to remind members is on the regular briefings that happen for all members, and I think that is important right the way across the chamber. There's also been those briefings which are on a regular basis. There has also been the updates on a weekly basis to ensure that all members know what is happening. And they've tailed off a bit recently, but as Phase 3 gets underway, we will be reintroducing the weekly updates and also an opportunity for members to regularly engage in briefing sessions.
Thank you. Thank you all for being so succinct. We managed to get all 10 questions answered. Go to agenda item 9, notice of motion. Members, in accordance with Standing Order 42.2, I will allow this motion to be dealt with this evening as I consider it to be convenient to the dispatch of business. Councillor Malcolm Wade, I invite you to move your motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I shall read it out and then speak on it. This council notes Associated British Ports have been holding public consultation meetings on their plans for their strategic land reserve on Dibden Bay. Dibden Bay has been identified in the council's, has not been identified in the council's current statutory planning document, the District Local Plan 2016 to 2026, as an allocated site for port expansion. However, a decision on whether port operations can be expanded looks to be taken out of our hands on the basis that is nationally significant. This council believes that the likely local impacts to the environmental sites on Dibden Bay, along with being so close to our national park, outweigh the potential economic benefits. Notwithstanding this, the decision should be taken by totally elected councillors. Therefore, this council resolves to write to the Prime Minister accordingly, urging him to give local people through their local councillors the final say, and in doing so, reminding him of his commitment to localism. Localism is the bedrock upon which all local government is founded. It means the theory or practice of administering or planning a political system on a local rather than a national or international basis. It's done by local councils elected by people to make decisions on their behalf. In our case, us. We know our district, we know our communities, and as good local councillors, we should now know all our residents' wishes and concerns. Therefore, we as the planning authority, armed with that local knowledge, should be able to balance those considerations against the commercial, environmental, and national and strategic factors as a regulatory body to decide not only what is best, but legally appropriate for the area. Now, the area in question, Dibden Bay, or Associated British Ports Strategic Land Reserve, let me set the scene. It sits on the edge of the Waterside Peninsula, which has Southampton Water on the east side and the National Park on the west. There is one road, the A36, that runs north to south, bypassing Totton, Marchwood, Hythe and Dibden down to South Waterside. There are two country lanes, one at either side of the A road. They were not built for serious traffic. On or adjacent to Dibden Bay itself are areas of formal conservation designation. A triple SSI is on the site itself, plus the Solent and Southampton Water SPA and Ramsar site. And of course, Dibden Bay is on the edge of the New Forest National Park, the protection of which is important at all levels of government. In 2002, when the previous attempt to put a container port on Dibden Bay was considered, it was rightly defeated on its environmental impact on the local environment after a public inquiry. Now, Associated British Ports are back with a new proposal, having learnt from their previous attempt. It is their automotive business, not containers, which is to be shipped through to the new development, Solent Gateway 2. Currently, Associated British Ports Southampton handle 820,000 vehicles a year through the port. They wish to expand their business to make it the largest, most important vehicle import-export port in Europe. The overwhelming majority of these vehicles will enter or leave the port on the landward side by road, massively increasing the HGV traffic on the A326. Hampshire County Council are proposing a £187 million project to improve the A326, including a new junction south of Marchwood on the A326 to take all the Marchwood Solent Gateway 1 and Solent Gateway 2 traffic onto the A326 north of Hythe and Dibden and South Waterside. The impact on the A326 will be massive and complex, with roadworks lasting 3 to 4 years in duration, resulting in extensive traffic disruption and delay, not only to local people, but the refinery and the transport to the Freeport sites south of the location. The development on Dibden Bay with its infrastructure will be the biggest development in this district's history. And how many new Forest councillors will be involved in these important and big decisions in our district? With our local knowledge, experience and understanding of the local environment? None, because the previous government made it a nationally strategic site, so the decision will be made by a minister and bureaucrats in Westminster.
Councillor Wade, can you wind up?
I'm
You had
finished.
more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, who have 2 minutes, who have none of the local knowledge and understanding of the environment. NFDC will be a consultee, as well as other agencies, with the National Park. A decision which might make the development better for local people and APC itself if it was made locally, because we know what's best locally. An administrative decision based upon that. Therefore, members, support this communication to the Prime Minister to act on the principles he should support. Give a voice and decision to local people through their local representatives on the local planning authority. Keep the local in local government. Keep localism alive. Thank you. Please support the motion.
Thank you. You should have rehearsed that in the bedroom first. That's over a minute more. You should have rehearsed that in the bedroom first. That was over a minute more. Councillor...
Actually, I read out the motion, the original motion. That should be taken off for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Councillor Dade, I understand that you will now be seconding this motion in the absence of Councillor Mark Clark. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to speak now or later in the debate?
Later, please, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tipp, I understand that you wish to speak and move an amendment.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Chairman. Well, that was a very lengthy speech from Councillor Wade, but I want to address two important points which I think need to be changed in this motion as it's worded. In the first instance, I don't disagree with you. It would be wonderful if local people could, or local councillors could decide this motion. But under the law, specifically the Planning Act of 2008, this particular development is a nationally significant development. So therefore it has to be decided by the Secretary of State. And so there's no way in which we can avoid the law on this, no matter how much we would like to do it. That's the first point, and therefore I don't think that we can actually ask the Minister to change the law. I just don't think he'll do it. And the other point that you mentioned in your motion is that you say that, where is it now? I think it's in paragraph 3. You state basically that the impacts on the environment outweighs the economic benefit. And we haven't had an environmental assessment carried out, so we're not in possession of all the information that we would need to make a judgment on that. We must therefore wait until we've got all the evidence before we rush to judgment, because that's not good planning practice, as you know. You've got to weigh the balance very carefully, and therefore I don't think that is right. So I'm proposing to alter this motion slightly, and I believe that we have the revised motion, the alternative motion that I wish to put somewhere. Have we not?
The motion will be on screen, and that should be in your emails as well. Excuse me, the amendment. The monitoring officer will clarify.
Just to clarify, members, once the amendment's been seconded, Democratic Services will circulate the proposed amendment by email to all councillors and display it on the screen. So just bear with us while we do that, Chairman. But if you'd like Councillor Tipp to conclude his move and then seek the seconder for that amendment.
Yes,
Councillor Tipp.
I mentioned the two major points that I want to see altering, and obviously we want the local views of the community, and we want them to be given significant weight, and we certainly want to make sure that the environmental impacts are taken very, very seriously as well. So all of that is good and will be in the motion. Good grief.
Councillor Steve.
It's been sent by email as well.
Oh, it's been sent by email, so people who've got access to their devices will be able to see it a little bit better than that.
Councillor Steve Davis, I understand you'd like to second this amendment. Would you like to speak now or reserve the right to speak later in the debate?
Yeah, happy to second, Chairman. I'll reserve the right to speak later.
Thank you. Can I now call speakers on the amendment proposed by Councillor Tipp, please? The motion with the amendments is displayed on the screens in the council chamber and is being sent to all members by email. Are there any speakers? Councillor Glass.
Thank you. I think the motion, or the change to the motion proposed by Councillor Tipp, is excellent. We're achieving, hopefully, our plans to involve local people and to give our opinion while remaining within the law. And I think it's very important we remain within the law, but still make our point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'm going to disagree with Councillor Glass, as is usual. The amendments removed the explicit reference to the environmental concerns outweighing the economic concerns. I think that's disgraceful. This council has a duty to protect our New Forest and has all of the environment of the New Forest. There are internationally significant invertebrate species at Dibden Bay, which clearly you don't care about. You only care about the economic. And it's depressing to see such disregard for our environment in the face of industry. It hurts to see industry effectively crush nature beneath its heel. And I think we should be doing all that we can to stand up for it. This amendment whitewashes the motion, which is its stated ambition. It takes the side of industry, and I will not support it.
Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this with us. The reason I won't support the amendment is because, to quote Councillor Heron's words, whimsical approach, this government's approach to localism, is that I just simply don't trust the views of this government on local issues and local matters. Their treatment of the LGR process, the treatment of the mayoral elections and deciding to cancel elections on a whim means that the Secretary of State will make the decision what's best for the Secretary of State and the party of government. And I don't trust, and we've seen it with planning. I think Councillor Tipp wrote a very good letter on behalf of this council to do with the planning policy and taking away decision-making locally. So I simply don't trust this government to make any decision and take on board what local waterside residents say. And last meeting I was accused of being naive, so I'm going to be naive again and say that there's no harm in a council writing to the government saying, can you change the law based on this and the impact on our area? So I do appreciate the wording here. I do appreciate actually it's being presented to councillors, but with respect, I won't support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got to fundamentally disagree with Councillor Davis because I'm reading paragraph 3 and he says we seem to remove the environmental aspects, but it clearly says that the likely impacts on internationally designated environmental sites combined with the proximity to the New Forest National Park. Surely that is actually emphasising the effect on the environment and bringing it to light. I must support this amendment because it actually clarifies, makes it simpler and actually sends a correct message to government.
Thank you, Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. I actually take issue with Councillor Tipp. The Prime Minister can perfectly change the law by an act on this issue if he wanted to. That is a fact, and you know that as well as I do. So writing to the Prime Minister asking him to do something is not inappropriate. What this amendment does is water down the point. But we're not writing to the Prime Minister asking him to make a judgment on the environmental aspects. We're writing to the Prime Minister asking him to put the decision where it should be with local people who understand the area. And also the fact that we as an appropriate planning authority understand what we can and cannot do in regard to planning law. So that ticks that bit into touch, I suspect. But this just waters it down. You know, it's simple as that, right? We are asking local people to do to support the forest, to support. We want to stake the forest together. People on the waterside will see the response from councillors who don't live on the waterside about, well, we'll water down your defence. Now, the point is, this is quite important. You know, we've got a consultation with the government going on LGR, and you should be sticking up for the waterside, not trying to water down. We're trying to defend it. I'm sorry, I can't support the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. I was very privileged to be walking over Dibden Bay a couple of weeks ago just to have a little look at it and see what it was like. It's not in my area, it's a little out of my patch. What a magnificent area it is. The wildlife there is truly unbelievable. The wading birds on the edge of the waterside there, fantastic. It really is a place worth fighting for. However, it's worth fighting for, not grandstanding. Councillor Wade is quite right. If we ask the government to change the law, they are perfect. It's one of the things they can do, really. Some things they can't, it would appear, but that's one of them. The chances of the Prime Minister giving parliamentary time to deal with this have snowballed and are placed down below in the title of us getting it. It's grandstanding. It's not achieving anything. Equally, if we were to become the authority to determine this and to go into bat against on it, we would be exactly that, the authority determining it, listening to the evidence. I was here when we did the last Dibden Bay. Somebody said, one of the local members said, what should I do? Because I don't want to predetermine this decision. I said I'd stand, if it was in my ward, I'd stand up and to hell with it. I would say not over, unless it's over my dead body, and walk out and say I've predetermined, can't listen to it. I think we are better suited to let this go forward in the correct way. I support the amendment, and what we should be doing as a council is looking to support the issues that are significant to the local people. They are predominantly traffic and the support of wildlife. Because personally, having walked through it, I cannot see how anyone could claim there's going to be a net gain in biodiversity if you build that there. I really support the amendment simply because I think that is the best way that we can support that local community and support that area that is quite truly beautiful and exceptional.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. So we were all elected to fight for our residents, and what this amendment does is to simply say to the government, oh, please, could you make sure you do what you're supposed to do? That's just ridiculous. That is not a fight. That is just saying, please carry on in the way that you're accustomed to. What we need is for them to take some notice of us, and this amendment does not do that. There are absolutely massive impacts of this development for residents and for wildlife. There is pollution, there is flooding likely. We need absolutely to be on the side of the fight for our residents, and this amendment does not do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tungat.
Thank you, Chairman. I hear an awful lot of emotion from the other side and very little in the way of fact. So saying that the likely impact to the environment outweighs the potential economic benefits, it's all unquantified. You don't know what the local impact, environmental impact will be. It's unquantified. You don't know what the economic benefits will be. It's unquantified. I was an engineer all my working life. We deal in facts. This is like saying, oh, I think that jet plane's better than that destroyer, without giving any reasoning, any facts. If you put fact behind it, I could possibly back it. The amendment makes it a reasonable, logical argument.
Thank you. Councillor Cole McCarthy.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, while listening to both sides there, I do agree with my colleague, Councillor Wade there. I don't trust this government as far as I would throw them. I wouldn't throw them to the other side of the room, and that says a lot, really, with you guys over there at the other side of the room. But looking at the amendment, I can't actually agree with this amendment either, due to the fact that I do agree with economic growth, but not under the condition that it's destroying our New Forest Park and our green park areas. Every day you wake up now and you can see industry taking over our countryside. In the next few years, it's turning out to be a concrete jungle. In the next 10 years, there won't be any green areas or New Forest the way things are going, and all our wildlife will be destroyed. So for that reason, I won't be agreeing with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cullen. Well, that was quick. Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
I think as a waterside councillor, I think we can all agree we don't really want advancement in Dibden Bay. And that's across the board, whatever we're thinking about the amendments and everything else. There's got a little way to run this, and I am no doubt that we will be debating this again and again over a few years. And I too would like to see the facts of everything before we can truly make a decision. It's good that we are debating it now, but let's not make it a political debate. Let's make it one where we can agree together this isn't something we want to see. And that, I think, has been expressed across here, but we need the facts and figures to go with it. So I'm not going to say what I'm going to say straight away, because you always know I carry a middle line very often, because I don't like the politics of it. But we all need to agree that this isn't something we want to see. And I'm sure we will debate it more, over the next year particularly, but we look forward to the details so that we can discuss it in detail. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Were there any other speakers? Councillor Cullen, you're going to speak.
Those are anti-trade, it's pro-democracy. It asserts a simple principle that those who bear the consequences of major developments should have the decisive voice in whether or not it proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, as seconder, would you wish to respond?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Obviously, I support this motion, and I'm fully satisfied that, as it clearly stated, local impacts on any internationally designated site must be fully considered. This amended version, is an achievable motion. It is one that simply and very clinically lays out exactly how we can work alongside each other. We are supporting the water side and the need for local people and their views to be given weight. I'm satisfied that we have a local plan and we have the right people on this to make this a success.
Thank you. Councillor Tripp, do you want to respond?
I think it's been a very good debate, very interesting. I think that what we must do in this motion is make an achievable motion. It's no good just trying to get to the moon. You know, we have to say something which is going to be realistic and achievable, and I think that this amendment does do that. So I urge everybody to support this amendment. Thank you.
Councillor McElway, do you wish to respond?
Chairman, I didn't realise that asking this authority to write a letter on behalf of people of Waterside would generate such debate and such challenge. Back to the point. The people of the Waterside want to see how this council sticks up for them. The original amendment is making a point that localism is not dead in this council. Localism is right in this council. We're asking the Prime Minister of this country, who said he supports localism, to actually turn round and prove it. I'm sure that if he was here now, he'd be very pleased that you're not giving him a challenging question he's got to answer, because that's what you're doing. The Conservatives supported Labour. I've seen it all. But this amendment just waters it down. We're trying to make a point. They're not going to do anything, are they? They're going to do what they want to do. But we should make a stand as the local district council on behalf of our residents, and we should send a firm message to government. Decisions should be made here. Will be made appropriately and legally within planning regulations. That is a fact. What you're doing is just watering it down. Doesn't really matter. Just making tokenism. I'm asking us to actually, not grandstand, to make a point on behalf of our residents. And I'm saddened that we can't have consensus to do.
Thank you all. Members, we will now go to the vote on the amendment to the motion proposed by Councillor Tipp. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending the vote to members. So this is voting for the amendment by Councillor Tipp as displayed on the screens. The alternatives being to vote against or to abstain. So this is voting for the amendment. That's with you now, Chairman. It's carried.
Thank you. The motion is carried 24 for, 13 against, 1 abstention. So I need to annex that now, don't I? Okay, members, can I call any further speakers on the substantive motion?
As amended.
As amended, forgive me. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. The choice before you this evening was that you could argue for the decision to be made here in the New Forest, or whether it should be made up in Westminster by the Labour government, and you chose the Labour government. You wrote to the government a couple of months ago arguing in favour of local decision making, but now you've been asked to follow through, you've disagreed. Maybe it's because the Conservatives and Reform voted to include Dibden Bay in the Freeport. Had you not, we would not be sat here discussing the latest attempt by ABP to develop Dibden Bay. The overriding feeling I get from this amended motion from Councillor Tipp is that it is weak. It's wishy-washy. In fact, it tries to avoid expressing much of an opinion about anything at all. It flies the surrender flag on Dibden Bay. And it is a disgrace, and I will not support it.
Councillor Young.
Thank you, Chairman. As a Waterside councillor, I speak on a daily basis with people about Dibden Bay, basically. And I wonder this evening from this debate whether there's a willful misunderstanding by people opposite, or whether they just don't understand at all the NSIP process. Because the NSIP process anybody looks into would know that it actually guarantees meaningful, widespread local engagement from the outset, which is exactly why we have seen a number of roadshows taking place up and down the Waterside about their plans before they've even got them forward to development. So, as far as I'm concerned, the NSIP process is the vehicle which is going to deliver for local people on the environment, on local opportunities, and on local people's needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hawkins.
Yes, Councillor Davies, just because you lost the vote, stop crying. You keep on and on and on with the rubbish that's coming out of your chops. Come on. Let's stick to what's going on.
Councillor Glass.
Thank you. I can remember the last Dibden Bay application. Yes, I am that old. And I argued against it. This is a much different application. Also, the circumstances are somewhat different. We have no choice. It is decided by central government because it affects the whole country. I don't particularly want it, but they have, with the consultation we've already had and are still having, included a nature reserve. They've included a lot of things. So it's not what we want, but I think what they're proposing is gradually getting more round to the way we want it. But one of the things we have to do is keep Britain trading, because this Labour government seems to forget that unless the country makes money, we can't keep all the people on the dole. Thank you.
Members, I think we might be getting too deeply involved now. We're just debating about actually writing a letter. So, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Whilst I agree with Councillor Tungate that we need facts, one of the things that concerns a number of our residents already is the degradation of the land at Dibden Bay. Their concern is that there is no clear record of the state of the land there at the moment, and they're worried that by the time some report comes out on it, the quality of the land will already be poorly degraded. So I think there is a concern. We have a number of really very knowledgeable residents who have expressed to councillors their concerns about what's going on at the moment. They're not at all assured that they will be able to voice their concerns in a way that's going to make an impact on the decision. And that's what we need to do as councillors. We need to listen to those concerns and give them an opportunity to voice those concerns at a higher level. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. So we're not today deciding whether we want Dibden Bay to go ahead or whether we don't. We're not asking to decide should industry win out or should wildlife win out, or actually should the residents win out. What we're asking is that we point out to the government they believe in localism, and that we, as councillors who are elected by local residents, should be enabled to make a decision about something which is so important, a SSSI, a Ramsar site, the potential for flooding and pollution in the area. This is a huge development. And we're just asking to write a letter to remind the government, essentially, that we should be making that decision. Thank you.
Councillor Cullen.
Two things. One, we've heard a lot mentioned about consultation. Consultation is not consent. Secondly, in APP's environmental scoping documents, there's no provision in there for the damage to the marine environment. Thank you.
Councillor Malcolm Wade.
It's an interesting question. Councillor Young says that this is benefit of local people. Hampshire County Council will need 187 million to do the A326. The majority of this is government money. The reason they're getting the government money, one of the drivers they will get it, is because they're putting a road junction on the A326, which will benefit Marchfield, they do accept that, because it's attached to the government's growth agenda by moving the port over to the waterside. That's a fact, right? Because APB admitted it. And I asked them to question, they admitted it, Alan, sorry, but it's a fact. Now, members, we don't work for Associated British Ports. We do need Associated British Ports because they provide a vital service in the import-export business for this nation. But we don't necessarily need to have it on Dibden Bay. But the decision, based on strategic issues and national issues, should be made locally. Because we know the environment, we know the issues that affect people, we know what is important to the local residents. And the people of South Waterside and Hythe and Dibden do not want to be stymied by the delays and disruption that this development will have without serious mitigation to eliminate that. And that is what we need. And we only get that if we stand up for localism, stand up for local people.
Chairman, I thought we'd already voted on the amendment. I don't know what we're discussing.
Use the wisdom of Solomon.
Excuse me, nobody said anything new in the last half hour, so could we bring this to a close, please?
Members, we will now go to the vote on the substantive motion. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, as the Chairman said, this is the substantive motion, so the motion proposed by Councillor Wade as amended by Councillor Tipp. So that's being sent to the vote for you there. Okay, Chairman, that results with you there.
Thank you. The amendment is 420, against 15, abstain 2. It's carried. Thank you. We'll now go to agenda item 10. Oh, Chriselle?
Sorry, Chairman, a lot of these people, as well as me, are confused about what we've just voted on. Well, we'd already...
As amended. As amended.
As amended. Thank you. We will go to agenda item 10, allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. We will now consider the report and appendices detailing the proposed allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. Councillor Cleary, would you like to present this report and its recommendations?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I can refer you to page 301, Appendix 1, no actual change from the 13th of October, which we agreed with the previous position, and also refer you to pages 303 to 305, Appendix 2, and seek your support.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Yep, seconded, thank you.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? None. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation to consider the allocation of seats to committees and panels and appointment of councillors to individual committees and panels. Could you conduct the electronic vote?
Thank you, Chairman. Sending the vote to members for the allocation of seats and appointment of members to those committees and panels. Okay, Chairman, that's closed there for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, the vote is 37 for, 0 against, 0 abstentions. Carried. We will now go to agenda item 11, date of next meeting. The date for the council meeting in February 26 is proposed to be moved from Monday the 23rd of February to Thursday the 26th of February in order to take place following the setting of the Hampshire County Council precept. Please can I ask members to agree to this change of meeting date? Thank you. We will take agenda item 12. Any other items which the chairman decides are urgent? I have no urgent items. Please can I take this opportunity to thank you all for working through this evening's important business and for all your help during the year. Wishing you all a very enjoyable festive period and a happy and prosperous new year. Thank you. The meeting is closed.